Mr. Netanyahu and President Trump were close during the president's first term in office. They remain as close as ever. In fact, there was a pretty powerful moment yesterday when the Prime Minister of Israel handed President Trump a letter indicating that Mr. Netanyahu has nominated President Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. We've seen other Republicans in Washington make a similar nomination and request. There is this sense from Prime Minister Netanyahu that only President Trump could have carried out a military strike on Iran, on nuclear facilities, and then a few days later there'd be a ceasefire between Iran and Israel. But to some degree, that's not the big question mark as Prime Minister Netanyahu continues his visits this week. It's an extended visit. We expect him here through Thursday. He'll be on Capitol Hill behind me around the lunch hour today. He'll be meeting with House leaders as well as Senate leaders today. A big question mark with Prime Minister Netanyahu is what happens with Hamas and Gaza. There is this sense of optimism on this Tuesday morning that are halfway around the world in Qatar. Negotiations between Hamas and Israel are advancing, and that perhaps there could be a major announcement in the near future regarding some sort of agreement between Hamas and Israel to suspend fighting. The Trump administration will be joining those talks, by the way, later this week. Steve Witkoff, who's been leading the effort for the Trump administration, will be partaking in those, we have learned in recent days. So does something significant get announced while Prime Minister Netanyahu is here in the United States? I think that is an open-ended question. There remains a lot of obstacles still. Questions about aid and who distributes aid in Gaza is one. Where are Israeli military troops allowed to be positioned in a ceasefire? What about hostages? So there are a lot of obstacles to getting to peace. Prime Minister Netanyahu said yesterday during that dinner with President Trump that he believes that it's possible that Israel could have peace within the region, that there could be a period of cooperation with Middle Eastern countries and Israel under the direction of President Trump. So that's the view as Prime Minister Netanyahu prepares to make his way up to Capitol Hill a little bit later today to meet with congressional leaders. While there's hope for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, Holly, one region of the world where it looks less likely at this juncture, and that's what you said at the top, between Ukraine and Russia. President Trump making that announcement yesterday that more weapons will be on the way to Ukraine, and that is a sign that that conflict is nowhere close to coming to some sort of resolution. This follows reporting from Politico from just a few days back that suggested that the U.S. may have paused shipments to Ukraine out of a